All right, all right, all right. Let's see if this works out. Finally got this. Apparently, they've got it figured out. Oh man, better late than Everton. Yeah, better late than Everton. Definitely leave it, Skid. I got you on that one. We're having some issues with StreamYard and with YouTube. Apparently, they were not looking, they were having some issues in the home. So I guess I don't know what's going on. It was just not letting me go live, but finally it is the time to do it. Got my little breakfast here and or lunch, however you want to look at it. And um, yeah, so what we're going to be doing is we're going to just kind of go for a little bit of a walk today. Look at things from a couple different perspectives. In that we definitely need to breathe a little bit. We got this Europa matchup coming up, and then we have back to we're going to be back into the Prem, and then back into the Europa, and then back into the Prem. So it's not over. I know a lot of people out there have been really like up and down about like certain players. I know that we also have some good news and some not so good news, but not confirmed news. I know that a lot of people are looking at I know a lot of people are out there looking at what we have coming up and those things I just mentioned that we have coming up. But we also have a lot of different things that are going to be on the table for us to still achieve, whether it's Europa, whether it's the Prem, whether it's a new coach, whether it's yes, I'm finally started. I know it was not my fault, Philip. It was not my fault. I was sitting here waiting patiently. Like I said earlier, I was like Obi-Wan Kenobi, just pacing in front of the gates, trying to go get at Darth Maul. But yes, we are finally started. It is a situation though, like I said, where there's been some reports about us offering Amarin, for instance, a job, coaching contract of a 3-year contract, and it's been reported that he's at least by some of the German outlets and even some of the I'm trying to think of what it was referred to. This guy, one of the guys that reported it in Portugal, is apparently like the Fabrizio of Portugal, or the Portuguese league at least. Excuse me. So he's been reporting that we are, in principle, we've made He's made an agreement for to become our club's new coach, but I've also seen reports by some very credible people as well, saying that's not the case and that he hasn't decided anything, and that he's basically said that he will not be choosing or deciding anything about his future until the season has come to a close, which is very interesting because it's a matter of who you want to believe somewhat, and also it's a matter of what you want to believe as well sometimes. So that's just sometimes the case. We're going to be joined by Brian, by the Irishman pretty soon, I'm certain. I'll make sure that he definitely knows that we are finally live. I know that it took a little while, but we are finally live. How's everyone doing out there, by the way? How's everyone doing out there? I know that I wasn't alone in the actual the hiatus here, or the purgatory, the YouTube purgatory. You could say that. But I do have some other cool stuff that I wanted to go into today, because, like I said, there's good and there's been some decent good ones, So let me see what you guys said. I know, finally, I got you. Hey, again, it was not my fault. It was not my fault. That's a I could be like, even if I was like Shaggy, it wasn't me. I'm sure you guys would still say different, so it doesn't matter. Yes, there are some big news. There's news about, or not news, but rumors about Diaz possibly getting a deal to go to actually go to PSG. For it's reported, I saw 75 million, but I'm not certain if that's accurate or not as to the exact figure or fee. And also, I've gotten reports about, or I've seen reports about. Um, yes, I know, I know. Let the darkness consume you. I got you. Um, and um, and also, I've seen reports on Salah. Actually, apparently that the Saudis are going back in. They're trying to utilize this opportunity of uncertainty with Salah and with the uncertainties going through and such. But let me bring in the Irishman first. Let me bring in the Irishman because I mean we've been doing like circles around the airport. You know what I mean? Let me bring in the Irishman here. Big up to you. Big up to you. How are you doing, brother?
I'm good. Yeah, we got liftoff, eh?
Finally got
We got
liftoff. I know, right? Right.
clearance. We got clearance. What the hell was going on, YouTube? Come on, man.
I know it was weird, and then like it's been like that for the last like over an hour. So like it's not like YouTube's gonna be like, okay, cool. You know what we'll do? We'll over boost or we'll throw out your we'll allow for the algorithm to like really make up the difference. No, they're not gonna do that.
I see.
StreamYard's not gonna be like, hey, we'll give you some money back. So it is what it is.
No, but we've got some people in, yeah.
Yeah, we got some people in the chat. That's definitely what's up. Sitting back, chilling. I made sure that the bevies were plentiful. And if you're not a bevy drinker like that, then we're still making sure that you had like some good eats.
Yeah, free glass of champagne for waiting around.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's only
good
right.
Stuff too, by the way. Yeah. Yeah, definitely good stuff.
Good stuff. Yeah. Well, maybe not, but.
But yes, I've been talking about basically some of the things that have been going on. And what I mean by going on is with the club, we've gotten some good and some uncertain news. I know, there's been a lot of talk. I saw a lot of a lot of the spaces, a lot of the content creators have been putting it out there that we have this deal in place with our new coach, possibly our new coach. And then I've seen also reports by some very viable sources saying that it hasn't been decided yet. That's not the case. So, we also have some pretty cool info, or not info, I should say, more so like we've also got some cool announcements about. Let me just show you this right real quick because I was looking around and all of a sudden, this guy showed up in the building. Making a lot of people go, being able to exhale a little bit, breathe a little easier, knowing that one of our shooters is coming back. He's going to be back. He's putting on that kit, you know what I mean? And basically getting out on that pitch.
Didn't think we'd see him. It didn't look good. A couple of 3-4 weeks ago, it was kind of like, he won't play again this year. This season, if you're lucky, he might be back for a couple of games.
Yep.
Way ahead of schedule, maybe. I don't know. But Trent Jota, Ali, wasn't it, as well today?
Yep.
But him, I think he might be probably, if you said to me, like, there's the three there, like, one of them can be fit. I think he'd be my first pick.
That's cool. That's that's good interest. That's interesting. That's an interesting question because like I personally am excited to see him back. I'm certainly excited to see him back. But like I'll tell you, you know what, like this is what I'm excited to see is that we have like a little like a Fab Four about to rejoin us, you know, and that's what I'm excited. I'm excited about as well. Is that we finally have a Fab, our parts of our Fab of a Fab Four, I guess you call it, about to rejoin us, and most notably, Ali is looking to start. I believe Ali is starting to actually take training or participate in training. Trent is there as well. And for me, I've been saying Trent is possibly the biggest name on this list. Out of those four, Trent was the biggest name for me that I wanted to see back.
He would have been for me, but just the way we've been so wasteful in the last few games.
Understood.
Has kind of pushed Jota towards
yeah.
the. But when it's not like I'm writing one out for the seat because I know they're all back.
Right.
So I would say like in the best case scenario there, we would have say Jota can get some minutes against Atalanta, and then the other two might be coming back around the Palace game. But I think we know what we've been speaking about, problems that we've been having with putting the ball in the back of the net, and everybody. And I always do say this as well, to be careful. And a lot of times for me, with a lot of times with fans, the best player at the club is the player who isn't on the pitch. So what I mean by that, there's always this kind of temptation to say, oh, well, if such and such a player had been playing, we would have scored that goal. Or if such and such a player had been playing, we wouldn't have lost that game, kind of thing. It's always the guy that wasn't there. It's, oh, well, if he'd been in, we never would have lost that. You hear that a lot. It's a bit of kind of cope, like, but I think with just with a sample size the last few games, the kind of player he is, I wouldn't be at all surprised if he would have gobbled up a few more of those chances that we created, which could have made a difference. So,
okay,
for
I'm
for
out
me,
to ask the chat too. I saw Romy One Up Fat Boy. He said that Diego was his, and big up to Marion. Definitely, it's always a pleasure when one of our Reds Queens joins us. I hope that you and your Everton King are very, 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 very well. Let's see. Yes, I asked the chat. Basically, out of the four names, because I mean, maybe there are. I mean, Bajcetic's going to be a very big boost for us too. The young man showed a lot of promise, and he's certainly has bulked up. He's gotten taller and bigger, so it could be a very, very viable like addition as well. I mean, like I know that we all he's got so much promise. I'm not saying he's on the level of world class levels of Ali or Trent or even Diego, if you want to call Diego world class or not. But I know that he can be important or could be an important addition for us coming up. And you know what, Dustin? I didn't put this individual in the picture at least, but the reason why is because he's already
back.
He's already back. Exactly.
Yeah, he's back, definitely. I think that's what Dustin was saying, was he was waiting for Curtis, and now it's Jota. So Curtis was the one he wanted back first.
Yeah. There is this question that I had earlier too. I put out there about there's been rumors out there that we could be losing Mo in the summer. And there's even rumors that the deal has already been agreed on. I've seen those rumors as well, saying that the deal's already been agreed on, and that the deal's already been agreed on, and it's just a matter of it hasn't been announced. And I think that they just have somewhat tighter lips when it comes to keeping deals taken care of in Saudi Arabia, apparently. But there's been reports that the deal's been already agreed on, and that it's a done deal for Salah to go to Saudi Arabia. And then there's also been reports or rumors about Diaz going to PSG for a reported £75 million. Yep. How are you feeling about both of those rumors?
That Mo Salah one is never going to go away. that by all accounts, the offer was to all intents and purposes left on the table.
Mm-hmm.
I think that one is up to Mo whether he wants to take that deal. I was talking to Quasi, wasn't it? Yesterday, yeah, we weren't doing. I was talking to Quasi. This all seems a bit too kind of convenient for me because one part of this seems to be the assumption that Mo Salah is ready to basically hang up his boots and go to Saudi Arabia because that's what you do when you go to Saudi.
Yeah.
You're basically calling time on your career.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you're a young player. Like, that's not a serious place to go and play football. Some of these bigger guys are getting watched by 800,000 people, 4,000 people, 5,000 people max at some of these games. Some of the biggest players in the world, at these tiny little crowds. So the idea seems to be that he's going to just get that Mo Salah is done now, and he wants to go to Saudi and just say, "Yeah, I'll play here now." I don't really see that. Like,
right.
If I could be, never say never. If they offer him that much money and he's happy to go, but I can see him saying
money can sometimes affect you in different ways.
Yeah,
certainly.
But he must surely. I would imagine Mo could see himself playing at the highest level for another 2 seasons anyway. I mean, look how fit he is. Look how he's still. I just think there's this assumption that he'll just go. So I'll be waiting to see on that one. But if, like I've always said as well, if you're sitting in the manager's office and a player knocks on the door and he goes, "Look, boss, I'm not happy here anymore. I want to leave," you immediately do everything you can to get rid of that player because you don't want. You might work something out with some player. Say, "Well, what's the problem? We can fix that." Whereas if a guy comes in and go, "No, there's an offer for me and I want to take it," then you go. You let them go. You don't keep those guys. They don't want to be at your club anymore. If they want to be at a different club, as opposed to not wanting.
You let them go. Yeah, absolutely.
If they want to be at a different club, then off you go, mate. If you're not 100% committed to Liverpool, see you later.
If you want to leave, then guess what? Hey, it shows that your commitment or shows that your mind is elsewhere and it's not here. It's just a matter of like, hey, you know what? I'll ring the car for you.
It's what Klopp said about. It's exactly what Klopp said about Henderson, which didn't come across because Henderson basically came out and said that no one at the club said that they wanted him to stay. Nobody came, and that was completely contradicted by what Klopp had said previously. When Klopp said, "If Henderson wants to leave," I'm trying to remember this quote. If Henderson wants to leave, no, Jordan knew what the story was. We wanted him to stay,
right?
But he knew the situation would be different, terms of
his circumstances would be different.
Minutes on the pitch. And he said, if he wants to leave, we will never throw stones in his path, which he meant we'll never make a rule. We'll never block you. If a player wants to leave, then you can leave. We're never going to throw stones in your path to stop you leaving. Pep Guardiola always says the same thing. The second a player doesn't want to be here, he's gone. The second they don't want to be here, they're out.
Right.
So that's how you deal with it. I don't see Mo being like that. So this is an odd one. The second one, I suppose, would almost kind of line up a bit more. I would be less surprised to see Mo Salah join PSG for 75 million. That's something I wouldn't be at all shocked, even though they've gone down a more youth policy road lately.
Understood. Yep. Yeah.
So it's just someone else out there. Yeah, I think it's Philip saying, do we all really think he's ready to go to Saudi and just basically give up?
Yeah, no.
And just say, I'm taking the money. He's still at not the top of his game, but he's not far off it, surely.
And George asked, can you see Mo sitting bench? Hello to George, by the way.
Hey, George.
Says, can you see Mo sitting bench? And it's like, I just, exactly from what you're saying. I was gonna say exactly from what you're saying. And Phil repeats that as well. He says, I don't believe Mo is ready to go to Saudi and be semi-retired, which is what it is. By going to by going to Saudi Arabia, you're basically saying, I am going for the money. It's not, you're not going to Saudi Arabia to have get like silverware glory by winning the Saudi Arabian League.
No.
You're taking away your opportunities to solidify yourself in one of the top continents of competitions, in Europe. And it's one of those things is like, no, you're most likely not going to do that if you have still aspirations to get more accolades under your belt. I just don't think so. And that's why I've been saying that I think that Mo doesn't want, is going to PSG going to bring about some new challenge or new ability to achieve those other awards that you're looking for? I don't think so. Winning a French league isn't exactly, I think, the highest one of the bucket lists, I guess you could say, like the football bucket list for Mo Salah. I don't think that's on his list. I don't think that unless Real Madrid, I don't even know, maybe even a Barca, but certainly a Real Madrid. No. If a Real Madrid maybe came knocking and said, yes, we want the likes of Mo Salah, then maybe Mo Salah says, okay, maybe I'll consider it, or maybe it could be maybe we can have a discussion, because I know a lot of people look at Real Madrid as being, one of the pinnacles of a footballer's career, to be able to go to that team. But it's one of those things where it's like, just don't know, man. It's one of those things where I'm like, I wouldn't want to see that happen.
It's very complicated. It's very complicated because most players don't want to have only a year left on their deal. Some players they can write it out, but they don't want to be kind of sitting there not knowing. So we're not going to give him a new deal on a big money wage. It's very much, I can see him leaving in the summer. I can see it happening because the pieces fit a little bit, but I can also see him staying and saying, if he went for an extension, I don't know. It's been very quiet because I'd imagine there's not much that anyone wants to say about this, but it has been, Fabrizio Romano isn't saying anything about this. Nobody is saying anything about this. So it's hard to pick up a line somewhere and go, this is the general kind of gist of what might be happening. But a big player like him, 1 year left on his deal, Klopp leaving, his age, which means us not giving him, a new 5-year, 300 grand a week contract, the potential to maybe get that contract somewhere else. There's an awful lot of plates being spun, So that's a really complicated one. For basically, you've got to get a manager to come in and say, well, this is what I'd like to do. You've got to get the sporting director, then you've got to get the player. But I can see him basically, in my head, I suppose it was, I can see him leaving, but I don't necessarily think the idea that he's just going to go off to Saudi Arabia and that'll be it. Maybe he goes to Saudi for a year and earns 80 million quid or something and then comes back and but even then you're taking a risk. So
you're taking a risk. Yeah. Like, do you want to go and join a league where sure, you might still have something, but do you want to, the whole father time thing and everyone else saying the question marks about players and how, he'll be a year older next year. And I'm like, okay, what player won't be a year older next year? But all the same, have that possibility be the case for you. What's funny too? I watched this this piece where they did Ali, Robbo, and one of I'm going to go blank on her name. She plays for our women's team.
Don't ask me.
Okay.
Leah Williamson.
Okay, no worries. But they did this thing where they do it was kind of like the questions that you're asked in some of your quiz that I'm still excited to see when we get this quiz, when Brian does the Quizmaster. You get the Irishman Quizmaster test here. But it was one of those things where
just waiting for volunteers, aren't we? We're just waiting for
still
volunteers.
waiting for volunteers.
Rachel Daly? Is it Rachel Daly?
It wasn't Rachel Daly. She's, I want to say she was Brazilian or something. I'll look it up. Because it was something I just saw this recently. But
apologies to the women's team. Apologies for
no doubt. Well, it was one of those things where they do the thing where they'll show the teams that the player has gone to, and then you had to call out. You had to name the team.
Oh yes, okay,
yeah. Van Sanderson. It was Van Sanderson. Yeah, that was it. So and what was interesting is that one of the players popped up, and I totally forgot that. I mean, he did play for this team. He got appearances in. He didn't score. He didn't score any goals for them, but he did get a handful of appearances in 2003, 2004 year, and then he got a handful of appearances in 2004, 2005. But as a player that has taken an arc somewhat similar, or could be similar of an arc if Mo Salah were to consider leaving Liverpool. And that was Steve McManaman. Obviously had a good career at Liverpool. Felt that he was undervalued, underappreciated at Liverpool.
Underpaid, basically.
Underpaid. That's what that means exactly. I was trying to be
no need. We're all
correct,
adults.
And then went on to Real Madrid. Certainly not a downgrade or anything like that. Went on to Real Madrid in 1999, 2000, and but it showed the path. And he went from Liverpool to Real Madrid, and I almost forgotten that he played for Manchester City.
Yep, went back to Man City. Yep.
And it's like one of those cases where it's very similar to Paul Ince. And I know I've been asked about Paul Ince. I'm not a fan of Paul Ince or as such. And there's another reason why. Paul Ince was on Talk Sport, right? And Ince went on to say, when he was talking about the FA Cup matchup and how it had taken away the opportunity for Liverpool possibly, or had really put a little bit of a crawl into the pathway of Liverpool reaching a title. He referenced himself as "we" when speaking about Red Devils. So when he was out there and a caller called up and called him out on it, he's like, you said "we" when yeah, exactly. Stefano's got my back on that. Yeah, he wasn't riding for United, but then he wasn't riding for United when it came to the title run. But he spoke when he spoke about himself. He spoke about himself as being a Red Devil, not being a Red, But yet he was referencing Liverpool, he was rooting for Liverpool to get it, only because the Red Devils weren't involved in the title race. And it got to me thinking, so if hypothetically, if the Red Devils and the Reds were both in a title race, who would he root for? You know what I mean? That was just interesting. I know I'm going a little bit of a tangent.
He would never be someone that would be able to, in a conversation like that, if it was Liverpool versus Man United, who would he say "we" when he was talking? He would say Man United. To me, he's a Man United guy.
Which he did, Brian.
Yeah, he's a Man United guy. He's not someone I consider. He played for us. He played for two of my favorite teams. I say two of my favorite teams. My two favorite. He played for us, and he played for Inter.
Make sure people understand it. Yeah, it wasn't Red Devils.
Yeah. Well, he's a Man United player. He'll always be, to me, he'll be a Man United player. Even though I think he started at West Ham. He's from London. You know, he's if anything, he should be saying we when he's talking about West Ham.
Right.
But
Yeah.
yeah. To me, that was never. Look, there's a reason those transfers very, very, very rarely happen. And Borough, afterwards.
He mentioned Middlesbrough too in that convo. But yeah,
You know,
Stefano saw the clip that I saw too.
It's
and
like word association. You know those games, word association.
Mm-hmm.
Like I say something, you say the first thing that comes into your head. So it's like if we did word association for footballers, and if you said to me Paul Ince, you had to say that. So if it's like I say player, you say club, you say Paul Ince, I say Man United. Like that's it. Right. That's where my brain instantly sees him is Manchester United.
But all the same too. I mean, because Ince was a captain at Liverpool too, you know. But like
he's one of those players. Yeah, he's just one of those. But you can just see, when you've played for Man U, it just never sticks. You could play for us, I suppose, but you're just never going to get the love. You'll get the respect, but you won't get the love.
You're not. It's a choice that I don't. Do you think Michael Owen did it out of spite? You know, or was it just because that comment that he made when he initially left Liverpool that he was leaving because he wanted to go chase titles. You know, he wanted to chase silverware.
Well, at that point in his career, really, it's I mean, because he goes to Newcastle. Yeah, he goes to Real Madrid. Stays there for a year only. Goes to Newcastle for 16 million, I think. He did well at Newcastle, but the problem with him was the story came out that he refused to play in the final game of the season because he was a free agent in the summer.
Yeah.
And he didn't want to be injured.
Yeah.
And he didn't play in that game and they got relegated.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then he went to Man United, I think. Then he went to Stoke. Mm-hmm. But Stoke or Man United, I can't remember which. But he's always been like, he's never made decisions that made him popular. I don't know if he did it despite us.
That's why, Brian, real quick, that's why often when people ask me the question about Salah, or people ask me a question about whether you want to see him extend or whether, I get it. This is an era when you don't see coaches retire and ride off into the sun with teams. You don't see players do that often, where they get to see their youth play and then go and have a glorified career with the same team all the way throughout and until the end of their career with one team. But it's why I often bring up Stevie G and the response when he was considering, and he did consider it, when he was considering leaving the club and what made him really decide to stay, and I think that sometimes resonates with some players still today, despite the fact that they understand that maybe they have other aspirations, or maybe Liverpool wasn't their ideal first choice when they first initiated this journey, but having had the confines of Liverpool and the understanding of the heritage, the fan base, just the city, everything, the global reach of the club, it makes sometimes a difference in your perspectives, and it grows on you, it just grows on you. I know I heard you talking about Rafa, for instance, as a coach, whether as a coach or a player, you talked about Rafa and how his wife, I believe you said something about his wife still living in Liverpool, despite the fact that he's going on to other teams.
His daughter is born and raised still Scousers. His daughters are literally Scousers.
Yeah, and same, and it's very similar to Pep as well. His kids pretty much consider themselves Scousers at heart. Xabi Alonso has ties like that as well. It's those kind of ties that really sometimes I think maybe the likes of myself and other football romantics out there, find can have some gravitation on keeping some of these players here or influencing their decisions. How about you? Do you think I'm too much of being romantic when it comes to those concepts, or?
No, I think when it comes to success on the football pitch and fine lines and all that, it's irrelevant in terms of the best player to play for your club at that time. But where it's relevant is in all the other stuff that goes around it, in the stuff that makes football kind of what it is. And, but in terms of, what basically, I think it just makes you kind of feel a little bit better, but I'm not sure, but it might make it easier. Look, I know for a fact that it makes it easier for some people, but only in terms of, look, this guy lived there and look, they loved it there.
Yeah.
It's like Lucas. I mean, if you join a club when you're 23 and you stay there for around 10 years, age of 23 and 33, and you're still with the same girl, you're probably going to have a couple of kids. So you're going to have a family growing up in these. So you land at the right time. You put roots down. But I think when it comes to the sharp end, no, it's just nice. I don't think it makes you win anymore, basically. But it is nice. I'd rather that than lads saying, "Oh, I wouldn't move my family there. I went there for 2 years. Oh, we'd never wanted to go back there." These people, like, they stay. Not only when they
stay,
their families
they keep their roots here, despite the weather, despite maybe the food not being the food that they initially grew up on or something like that.
Mostly it comes down to the kids. Like, you say, if you got you move to Liverpool and you stay there for 10 years and you've got a 4-year-old and a 5-year-old, then they're 14 and they're 16. All their friends are like the proper friends that you make when you grow up as a kid.
Yeah.
That's all into your school. It's all in Liverpool. So that's why some of these, these guys, they move around, but maybe the family will be based in Liverpool. It's nice. I like nice stories like Monty Benitez setting up foundations. They're one of the most respected families in Liverpool, the Benitez family. Like, he was very kind of robotic and cold on the pitch in his management style, but they are loved in Liverpool because of what they do off the pitch. But that's just the stuff that's just the stuff that football allows you to do. It's not going to put in a header at the far post. It's not going to finish a chance, But like I said, I'd rather that than the opposite. I know Chris would just like to go around, cutting people's throats and, getting rid of Deadwood immediately and, being that silent assassin. But
Yeah. No doubt. Lee Wiskis says George Scout said his home has been Liverpool since he moved down here to play under Shankly. That's what Lee Wiskid is saying.
Who's George? Sorry, George from Frank's Shop. Who nearly said it. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I was for a second. There's George Scott.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, George. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's another comment I was going to bring up real quick, but basically, it just makes you go and think about these different things. Like, as in, I know we're going to have some tough decisions coming up with some of the players that are, again, I know that some people don't like or don't want to see these players, leave on freeze. Sometimes you got to recognize the fact that, you might have a club, like you might say, for instance, you brought up Mo Salah, and you'd be more comfortable possibly seeing him get 75 million. We're not more comfortable, but
it's something I could see more likely to happen.
More likely
would be him moving to a Champions League club rather than just fecking off to Saudi and going, that's it, I'm done with football, basically. The man's got more to give.
Yeah. If that's the case and such, Mo Salah still 75 million. It's a lot. It's still a lot of money. It's not exactly what I value him at technically, but I mean, you're not going to get that. Most likely, you're not going to get 150 million, for instance. Like, as in, it's going to take twice that number for a team to pry Mo Salah to them if you are going to a Saudi league, for instance, like as in, if you're not going to be able to offer Champions League and everything like that, those kind of concepts. But if you are able to do so and you are able to tempt a player to go to your club, it's got to be the right program, the right coach, the right city, for so that this not only for you as a player, but also you as your family as well, considering that, as you spoke of, some people, if you're going to be moving with your family, and that's most likely the case, is that you want to keep your family together, is it the right move for your family? There's so many different aspects and angles that get weighed into a lot of this stuff. And, whether it's also, it could get down to just your legacy, maybe if you want to go from a personal concept as well. But there's a lot of different angles. And I think sometimes people don't necessarily weigh those angles completely as a, totality. And especially since a lot of us don't know what is the priority list of those different variables that can all be factored into.
Yeah, his current market value, just for context, on Transfermarkt, so they always, go with the low end, but it's still 65 million euro. Now, you wouldn't find many players on Transfermarkt with a year left on their deal that are still valued at his age, with a year left on their deal, that are still valued at 65 million euros. That's a very high value.
It is a very high value at that age.
On Transfermarkt, on Transfermarkt,
at that age,
because you can usually add 20 or something like that.
Right.
Because they'll just go cold statistic algorithm market value. They won't think emotion, anything like that. Right. So in a cold, hard business sense, on the market, he's 65 million. So that's why I think if he was to go to a club like PSG, it would be for around that 75 million euro mark. Right. 80 million, say. Right. Whereas, if it was a Saudi club, then that's where you can get the big money from. You're not going to get basically a Saudi fee from any other club around the world. No, in the Champions League, nobody is giving you a Saudi fee for Salah.
Right. Nobody. And it gets down to the question, and this is some of what the chat's bringing up too, is like, okay, so for instance, let me bring up roll me one up, Fat Boy says, if Diaz goes for 80 million, he'd keep Salah, for instance. Lee Wizkid says Diaz is worth way more. We paid around 60 million, and he has 3 years. The length of his contract left does affect, the value that the higher value can sometimes get for people, for those players as well. Stefano, you already know, man. I would like to see this player join us without us having to lose anyone, really. I would have loved to have Kubo as an understudy for Mo Salah, to be honest with you.
Well, that is Diaz's current market value is 75 million.
Yes. So, yes. On transfer market.
On transfer market.
And there's one other player, but him and I want to say Dom, I think, have the highest contract value on transfer market for us.
Yeah, Dom would be high as well. The age of Dom,
and considering what we paid for him for his release clause and everything.
I just think the Salah one is a real interesting one. Because if he says, I don't want to go to Saudi Arabia, then the whole thing shifts.
Well, that's why especially, I know when you guys, we were on the show, we were talking about on our show when we did brought up the question because it was out there, and a lot of content. There was a lot of content creators on that panel that we're on that were, that were on the other side of the fence when it came to wanting to keep Salah a part of our future. And even if not for a year, but at least if not for 2, 3 additional years, at least for the remaining year of his contract, some were really saying, hey, let's try to get some value out of him now, which is very, very interesting. But still, there were a lot of angles from it that made me say, okay, You know, if you have this money involved on, and this is why a lot of what we're talking about with going out on the free, if you have these offers and it's 75 million that you're getting for a Mo Salah, great, all well and good, but who are you bringing back for 75 million? Who are you bringing back? If we're doing this whole like, okay, well, this is the purse now that we can utilize to go get another player and bring in another player, who is going to be a 75 million pound acquisition that is going to bring back the kind of not only the attributes that you get on and off the pitch? Is there anyone out there equal?
Well, it wouldn't be fair to ask someone to bring stuff off the pitch, because Mo Salah was relatively well known. He was a famous footballer to football fans. He was relatively well known to casual football fans. And yeah, he would have been a bit of a big deal in Egypt because he went to some big clubs. He went to Fiorentina, Roma, Basel, Chelsea.
Mm-hmm.
But we made Mo Salah the Mo Salah he is today. Liverpool made Mo Salah the global icon that he is. It was doing what he did at this club. If he'd done it at City, if he'd done it at Madrid, if he'd done it at Man United, yeah, it would have been the same. But it was the fact that he did it at Liverpool, not that he was doing it at Roma. You know, not that he was doing these, like, this is us allowing him to become one of the biggest footballers in the world because he played for Liverpool and he was doing it for Liverpool. So the off the pitch stuff is us as well as him.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I'd look on it purely at an on pitch thing. And when I look at something like that as well, I think, well, we sold Coutinho and we used that money to pay for Virgil and Alisson. We never replaced Coutinho. We never bought a Coutinho replacement.
Mm-hmm.
So we use that money elsewhere. So my thinking would be, you can't go out and buy. Of course, you can't go out and buy another Mo Salah. You might get lucky and go out and buy some hot young winger, or some guy who's in great form or whatever, and he has the potential to just be, a lightning quick goal machine. You bring him in, it might work, it might not.
But how many left-footed right wing?
You change. See, that's the thing. You can't say, "Oh, we need to replace Salah." You just go, "Well, we sold Salah." So it's like
I'm not saying saying. I wouldn't go as far as to say you can't, because guess what? There's plenty of people out there that will.
No, but you don't directly.
Yeah,
but you can't direct. It's if we say, okay, how do we get someone who did exactly what Salah did? Well, forget that. Just go out and get someone that you think can do the job you need doing. Because this new manager and new system, again, that's something that I'd like to see, because there's going to be a hell of a lot of.
But that's the thing too about it, and this is what and I'm going to bring up Roll Me One Fat Boy's quote in a second about someone we're looking at, but Hyler brings up this, and it's a very pertinent thing. FFP rules have really made a dent this season and made many clubs to heavily decrease their budget, and I mean, like, it makes a huge difference in a lot of these players. I think one of the best things for this club, and this is just me speaking from from that executive mindset at least, is that we have been utilizing these youth players. Now, I'm not saying that I want to sell any of these youth players. I don't necessarily think that every last one of these youth players that we've been, been utilizing through this campaign is possibly going to be a red 5, 6, 7 years down the line. That's not all. It's not a guarantee. I'm not saying that I'm trying to push any of them out. I'm not saying that at all. But what I'm saying is the reality of it is that maybe they want to get playing time. They're not getting it at Liverpool, or maybe they're just not in the future plans of whatever coach we do have involved in, and they want to get playing time elsewhere or such and such. But having those youth players that we've propped up and been able to at least fortify that there is a player there. That's
of course that's what happens.
Yeah, that's a zero. That's a zero lose. Like that's like saying you get whatever. It's all profit basically.
It's 100% pure profit is what they call it
Right.
in football.
Exactly.
They call it 100% pure profit on
Yep.
a homegrown player. So it's the Chelsea model. It's
right.
Cost you nothing. You know, you bring in a few boys, sell them for 25, 30, 40. That's how they've been spending all that money for years, because people see the players they bring in, but when you go and look at the players that they sold, then you'll realize they were bringing in 60, 70 million quid for these guys over the years. Now FFP, as Helior has correctly pointed out there, is starting to bite. We saw it in January as he brought up the numbers there. It was 86 million this year. It was pretty much 10 times that the previous. Well, and look, there was some mad stuff going on then, but Chelsea were responsible for a lot of that. But FFP now, you're going to have to sell a Bobby Clark or sell a Kumas or a Dans or something. You know,
Exactly.
it's going to have to happen, because we are apparently at the moment close to our line. You know, so our FFP, we're tight basically in what we've been spending. We don't have 250 million to just we can go out and do that. You know, we're going to have to. People, like I've been saying this. Oh, you're sell to buy. You're sell to buy.
I don't think we are sell to buy. By the way,
no,
I think that's
you're
that's
describing
a really
football.
lazy way of looking at it.
It is. You're describing football. That's called player trading.
Yeah,
it's always happened. Clubs have always sold players. What they were suggesting was you have to sell your best player to buy players. No.
You think? Wait. I'm sorry. Do you think this is actually going to happen?
No.
I don't think.
I know what you're going to ask. The Solanke question.
No. Yes.
No chance. Never going to happen.
Yeah.
But what I wanted to bring up.
I think that if anything, we're gonna. I mean, we wouldn't mind seeing him be sold, because they'll get a piece of that sale. But I don't think they had any like, thoughts about bringing him back, to be honest with you. I don't.
But the one thing the lads were talking about there, and this is what I'm really reluctant to get involved in, is one of the lads said Amorim won't use him as a winger, he'll use him as a number 10. And so the lad said afterwards, we don't need left foot wingers when we play wing backs. This is what we can't go near, lads. We have no idea what tactics Amorim is going to use at Liverpool. We have no idea what system he's going to use.
Right.
We know what system he uses right now. There is no guarantee whatsoever. So this kind of thing, that's why. This player, he can't be used because he doesn't fit into an Amorim system. Oh, we won't buy him because he doesn't fit into an Amorim system. Number one, we don't know 100% that this guy is coming. And number two, we have no idea what tactics he is going to use. So don't get too fixated on that, is all I say. To anyone out there that someone says, oh, he can't do that because Amorim doesn't do that. These boys are clever, man. They don't, it's not like, oh, I will only go and play this one particular system. That's something else I wouldn't really kind of nail my colours to the mast on that one. And also, just quickly on that, the claim and counterclaim, what normally happens is when a deal is announced like that, where it comes out, someone says that we've made contact and, that it's basically done. What happens is, because they're still in a title race, the season isn't over. That puts people's noses out of joint at that club. Sporting Lisbon, they're going, what the hell are you doing announcing that you've got a deal done with our manager? And we're going, no, we're not. So then you put out a statement saying no contact has been made. We are not talking to their manager. That to me basically says that's a deal done. Yeah, I know. Look, Roman is saying he used 3-4-3, but what I'm saying is what he's done before does not guarantee England is completely different to Portugal. He may do it. I'm not saying he may do it,
but he's done exactly. But he's done. He's played with a 4-2-3-1 before. He's played. It's more so. Yeah. It's about what he has to utilize, like as in it's being versatile to say, I'm going to look at the components of the system that I have, as in the players I have, and what I think I can put together as the best and most lethal, assortment of them on the pitch. It's also something that I've been saying from the very gate. Now, whether he goes and continues pushing for this angle or not, but I think that a lot of teams, or not a lot of teams, but some teams are starting to play positionless football in essence. Like that. I talk about the fluid motions, everything, such and such, but positionless football in the sense of being like you'll have 3 forwards, you might have three midfielders, but those 3 midfielders aren't rigid in their directions. There's not going to be you'll only see, for instance, Mo Salah on the right. You might see him on the left. You might see him or not necessarily on the left, but you have actually. You might see him central. You might see a Diaz on the right wing, and then you'll see him central, or you'll see him on the left wing. It's one of those cases where you don't know exactly what you're going to get until that coach gets in there and properly evaluates what he has, what he wants, and what he believes, and what players are physically and mentally engaged with believing in what this coach wants to do and believes in the vision that the coach has, I think.
Yeah, if he doesn't think that's going to work for him here, he's not going to do it. And like rolling up, that's what I said. Like when I see a story comes out like that, claim and counterclaim, that's what I said. That to me tells you it's a done deal. When you get one club come out, oh no, we weren't even talking to him. Sorry. That's me tells you, that is what's happening. So it's basically they've kind of let it get out. So the likes of Romano are coming out going, don't listen to Liverpool. This is what's happening. And he has it doesn't hurt him at all to come out and say it. So to me, I think it's just done. I think it's a done deal. It's him. But what I'm saying is let's wait until he gets here and see what he wants to do, because he's going to have to try and work out English football as well.
Yeah.
He's never played in England.
Yeah. No, he is certainly going to have to figure out, that adjustment. I think what's unique about this too is that, again, I'm not necessarily hopping on whether he is or is not going to be our next coach. I know, again, like I said, there have been reports, or I've seen reports saying that he hasn't made up his mind, and incredible people as well. I'm trying to think of what his name was too. He works for Golzo here in America, but he's like a European correspondent for them.
Neil Jones.
It wasn't Neil Jones. He's I'm gonna pull it up here for you guys. I'll pull it up and make sure. I wanted to possibly even like put the let's see if I can. I'll pull up here what it is.
See, the other thing that I was going to say is for the last 8 years now, we've been buying players for a 4-3-3 system.
Yeah.
Now, you can't change that overnight. If you're playing if you start all of a sudden playing with 3 centre backs, you need a lot of centre halves. You need 5. You need 2 for every position. You're not going to get 6, so you need 5. We barely got 3. So we've been buying players for a Klopp 4-3-3, midfielders for that kind of system. We don't really have too many different types of players other than for that kind of thing. Now, these guys can obviously change, but to come in and go, no, I'm ripping it up and I'm playing it complete. That's an Antonio Conte job. When Antonio Conte came into Chelsea and went, I play 3-4-3 and I only play 3-4-3. Buy me wing backs and buy me this. And then he's there 2 years and then he leaves. We're not like that. So we've been building for so long, buying these Klopp style players for Klopp type tactics. For someone to come in with a completely radical, different, new way of playing, that won't. I'm not saying it won't work, but that won't be. He may have to be a bit more adaptable in the players that he has, because he's going to have to make the likes of McAllister and Dom, Trent, maybe Jota, Nunes. We're not going to say, oh, well, you don't like them. Okay, we'll sell them. They don't fit your system. Okay, sure, no worries. We'll sell all them. we'll sell that Szoboszlai and Nunes. Yeah,
Right,
don't worry, I
right.
get it. You don't like them. Yeah, they don't fit your system. Cool, we'll get rid of them. That's not going to happen.
It's not going to
You know,
happen.
so he might be
Yeah.
able to build towards his preferred squad and shape, but it's not going to happen immediately. And like I said, it's not like Liverpool haven't played three at the back in my lifetime as a a main. That we've done it in bits and pieces in certain games. We've never been a
Mm-hmm.
three at the back team, five, let alone a five at the back team.
Mm-hmm.
That's just not how we play. We never have. So these are all things that we need to bear in mind if this guy comes in. Let's not wed ourselves to the idea that it's 3-5-2 transitional or no, Lee. I hate 3-4-3. I despise 3-4-3. That old school version where it's three centre halves, two defensive midfielders. The other two in the four are basically fullbacks. So your entire midfield is two defensive midfielders and two fullbacks. And then you've got your forwards. It's a massively defensive system, and I can't stand it. Now, he does a very new, different version of it, where it becomes 3-5-2 and 2-5-3 and 2-3-5. Lots of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But it's going to take him a while to come up with something that works, because he can't take what he does in Portugal and just transmit it immediately into Liverpool and go, this is what we do now.
No, because a lot of if he thinks that, then he's kind of silly. I have an interesting question. I'm still looking up the name of the journalist that I was thinking about earlier, by the way, people. So that's, if you see my attention being drawn elsewhere, I am listening, multitasking. I have a really interesting question, because it was same. Maybe I could look him up via this, but there was a short that I saw, and the same journalist put it out there that De Zerbi is most likely the candidate to be the next City coach.
Oh, so okay.
Are we missing out? Are we not seeing something that obviously Pep sees, in the sense of he's very high on him apparently? They like
Klopp
to have
loves him too.
What's that?
Klopp loves him too. Always bigging him up.
Yeah. With Roberto De Zerbi, are we missing out on some? Are we overlooking possibly a very capable coach that is good? It could be good on or could be capable of being the better choice.
Well, potentially, yeah. They're all gambles. I like De Zerbi has been getting a lot of not abuse, but sort of immediately dismissive comments from people like, "Oh, he's useless. He's this, he's that," and I'm like, "What? I don't see that. I see a guy who's clearly an excellent coach. Give him." Give him better players. Can he take the step up to a big club? Who knows? Give him better players. It's a gamble. I think he's been very, very quickly dismissed by a lot of Liverpool fans, and unfairly so. Yeah.
Yeah. Me included. I've not been exactly. I've been looking more at I saw like a special on him explaining his build-up tactics and such. Like as in, apparently Pep likes to really just likes to get into the mind of each of their tactics, or like as in, he likes Zerbi ball, and he's even taken some of the things that De Zerbi is doing and implementing them with City.
Yeah, there's always a new guy. I keep saying this. There's an next Ancelotti, there's a next Pep, there's a next Klopp. The personalities will never be the same, because you're never the same person. But it's just that there's no bridging gap at the moment in terms of managers. Everyone out there is a gamble, basically. Xabi Alonso, brand new manager. De Zerbi, new manager. But has shown that he can do it for a couple of years in the Premier League, regardless. Well, they've done worse this year than they did last. It's Brighton. What do you expect them to do? Finish sixth and then finish fourth. It's someone I think that is being a little bit kind of casually dismissed because, I don't know, because he's at Brighton or something. He's maybe a little bit more suited to City with how technical he is, and because Klopp always talks about how good he is and says, but I could never coach that way. I could never coach the way he does. So, you can imagine the City players will be a lot more receptive to someone like De Zerbi coming straight in after Guardiola.
No, he gets a lot of praise from him. I mean, he gets a lot of praise. He's one of the manners that he admires the most. That's according to Pep. Pep is
these new guys, man. They all have new ideas. It's not like Pep and Klopp got the book and no one else has it now.
No one else has access to it, right?
No, these new guys, new ideas. They go and they watch Pep and you go, "Oh, that's good," but what if I do this? What if I do that?
Right.
And Pep will go, all right, because Pep is constantly changing. He doesn't change in a big way, but if you ask the people that watch him, he constantly changes what he does continuously. Right. But it's just all gets lost in what the average man can't see it. But he's constantly changing things, and he used to, like, if you look at it a while ago, he wouldn't have dreamed of signing he would rather have had Bernardo Silva play number 9 than a Haaland or Ibrahimovic, who he couldn't stand.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now he has Haaland. Before he wanted or he had a Mendy and he had a Cancelo. Now he plays with 4 centre halves. He's constantly changing things, so you don't see it as much. But these guys, the new young innovators, whoever you take, Thiago Motta looks like a good new coach. But you come to Liverpool, everything changes. You go to United, everything changes. The size of the club
does.
Gary Neville tells that story about David Moyes when they go to a European game and they come back, and it hasn't gone well. Is it Gary Neville? Something like that. He was there. He's on the plane, and Moyes is like slumped in the chair, and he just looks up, and he'd been there for months, and he looked up at Gary Neville, and he goes, "This club is fucking massive, isn't it?" This is just like, this club is huge. Yeah, so man, you're the manager. And even for someone who'd watched it for 20 years, 30 years, he knew it. And it wasn't until he got in the door that he realized just how much is involved at a club that big.
In dealing with, how much is actually, because there's a big difference nowadays when it comes to, the control and how much a manager has to take on, having the right components or right people, backstaff style people to make those decisions or make the lifting that much easier on your shoulders. There's a lot involved, and there's a lot that is already in place when a lot of these teams see these managers have to come in and provide some answers for them. Let me see. I think I might finally
the pressure.
There's massive pressure. Massive pressure. Sports on. Let me see if this might be the one. I know I'm on mute. I had to mute it.
Hello?
I'm trying to mute it because I'm trying to make sure it's muted because it's acting kind of weird, and I'm trying to get it where I can play the actual clip for you guys. because it's a short, so I don't think I'll get in trouble for playing a short. And I'm only going to play like a quick segment of the short. Play a short of the short for you guys. And bring up some of these questions while I do that.
Who likes short shorts?
Who likes short shorts? Yes, right, certainly. Let me see if I can get this in. See if this will pop up here.
Only one manager that has understood that and has put in practice the next phase, the organize of the attack.
Dun, dun, dun. Who is it?
Drum roll. And it's Roberto De Zerbi.
Oh.
Wow. Roberto De Zerbi. They speak for hours. They speak in the language that only them two understand. When they're talking, everybody leaves the room after half an hour because they don't understand what they're talking about. And Pepper's taking things from
this
Brighton.
Is the journalist I was speaking of right here.
Obviously,
does anyone know his name?
Because
okay. He has an actual clip out where he actually speaks on that he's spoken to Amarin, and he has a clip where he basically says that it's not a done deal. That was the clip on him saying about Pep. That was him saying about how Pep is, high on De Zerbi. But there is another clip out there that he actually has for himself. So
yeah, he became the Liverpool. He was like the original Romano almost, but just for Liverpool. Mm-hmm. Because when we signed Benitez to come over, he was a Spanish guy. He was on Spanish Sky Sports, and he knew Rafa. I think he'd done a book with him or about him, or was doing one or something. So he instantly became the go-to guy for all Liverpool news, because Alonso, Garcia, Torres, Arbeloa,
right.
He was the guy with all the info.
He was connection.
Yeah, he was the biggest name. It was for years at Liverpool. It was like, oh well, Guillaume Balaguer said. Oh well, if Balaguer said it, and it was about a Liverpool player from Spain or a Spanish player going to Spain, then it was gospel.
Mm-hmm.
Now he's dropped off a bit after the lads went, but yeah, he was him and Graham Hunter, if anyone remembers Graham Hunter, who was also based in Spain. And this is when Spain were, super successful, and Barca were winning everything. Everybody wanted Spanish players, so it was a big thing. But yeah, Balaguer has kind of dropped off a bit for the Liverpool fans, but for a while there, yeah, he was the number one guy.
Mm-hmm. So I'm gonna ask for the chat. This is where, this is a Wednesday walk, basically. You'll never walk alone kind of concept. So I figured it's like a Wednesday walk where we just, casually speak on some subjects that are out there, things that maybe that you want to talk about, maybe that you want to bring up. We've still got about 20 minutes or so left of the show here. So this is where you guys get to have your say and get to say what would you guys like to talk about? Let's see. I have some of the things I have some of these things up here. Okay, yes, yeah. Let me bring this one up. It says Atalanta beat Amaran. So although it works at home, Europe is another story. That's what Hylor says, for instance. When you guys are talking about different variations of formations and such, and like how some things work in some leagues and it just doesn't work in others. It's just like, it's just one of those things. So again, if you guys got some questions or anything like that, definitely don't hesitate to answer or ask away. We'll bring them up. I have a question for you guys as well. I have a question for you as well, Brian. Being that we got to see some great matchups yesterday in the Champions League, Arsenal drawing at home and City drawing away at Real Madrid. Do you want to see do you want to see City and Arsenal advance in the Champions League? Or do you want that, or you do not care? Or do you what is your thoughts on the Champions League? And what were your thoughts about the games if you got to watch them, by the way?
Yeah, look, your head says, well, yeah, we want them tied up and involved in other competitions for as long as possible. And you kind of have it in your head, well, look, City were probably favourites anyway, and I've been saying it'd be nice if they weren't quite in the race, and towards the end, the fact that they were in the Champions League meant that they might kind of just have one eye on that more than the league, and it might, hopefully little marginal gains that you might get somewhere from something like that, But Arsenal as well, do you think the same thing? But at this point of it, I don't want to risk Arsenal actually potentially winning it, which I don't think they will. But yeah, the head says that you want them to go as far as possible. And they have more games, more stress, more pressure, more distractions.
Yeah, that's what you're saying, what Philip's saying, which is he wants both.
But we have Europe as well, let's not forget. There's still games.
It's really not much of a game, because they just have the same, they would just have the same, I guess not necessarily distraction, but the same extra obligation as along with us. That's basically it. But I mean,
because by saying that, yeah, realistically, I should be saying that, and hopefully we get knocked out of Europe. To make that work. If I want them to have more games to play, so it distracts them, then ideally, then we would also get knocked out and have fewer games to play.
Yeah,
if you get me. So, but I just don't want Arsenal. Yeah, no, I want Arsenal to get knocked out. To be honest with you, I want Harry Kane to knock Arsenal out, because Arsenal fans are just doing my head in, really.
Mm-hmm. Here's a question. You want to take on this question from honesty?
The bottom one.
Yes.
Question: why is it we rate the players from Sporting? Ignacio, Diomende, Mateus Nunes Paulinha, both. Then with Alberton, is the Portuguese league, so it's a farmers league. I can't stand that phrase, farmers league, so I would never describe anything as a farmers league unless it's literally a league played by farmers and it's part-time. Mm-hmm. Anything other than that, it's just disrespectful, because what if City were to win their 8th title in the next 10 years, in the next 2 seasons or whatever, 3 seasons, were to win 8 titles? Well, then the Premier League is a farmers league. Apparently the Bundesliga is a farmers league. It just doesn't make any. It's just not something I just cannot stand that phrase. Is it a weak league? Of course, it's a weak league if you compare it to a stronger league. It's a weak league compared to the league above it in the UEFA coefficient. It's a weak league if you compare it to the top of the Premier League. But you bring players and managers in. It's unfair to say that they only do it in this league because it's that. If you did that, then you'd never buy anybody from outside of England, and you'd never hire a manager from outside of England unless they were the world's best player playing for Barcelona, Real, or Bayern. So, yeah, I think the idea that anything is a farmers league, again, it's a disrespectful way of talking about another league. If you can go and get yourself a contract playing for a Portuguese Super League club, then you write in and tell me if it's farmers league or not.
Yeah, no doubt. I can't find a stupid thing, but it's all good. I was looking at some statistics, and what was kind of interesting too was there was big chances created. That was a statistic out there. There was also a statistic on assists, obviously, and it was very interesting to see some of the names that were on this list as well. And one of the most notable is the fact that, again, circling back to our earlier comment or earlier stance, Mo Salah is on most of them, despite the fact of him having, in some people's minds, having an off year or maybe losing a step. He's still actively in a lot of these conversations when it comes to a leading candidate on a lot of these numbers or a lot of these cases. It's pretty interesting.
I said it, man. If we bought a player at the start of the season and they put up Salah numbers, we'd be losing our minds.
Yeah,
we'd be going crazy about what we were after buying. But
yeah,
this is what I was saying before with the Salah thing. I don't know what people in chat think about Salah, but for me, it's fine to say anybody wants to sell him because they think he won't be good enough for the future. Nobody thinks he's the future.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody thinks he should get a new 5-year deal. Nobody thinks he's going to be here in 4
Not
years.
even me. I didn't say that either. So don't. Yeah, about to say. Yeah.
Nobody thinks he's going to be here in three years ripping up the Premier League. You know,
exactly.
But don't rewrite history. Don't try and rewrite history by saying, "Oh yeah, you know, he's not actually that good, or he was never that good." I mean, I heard someone say it the other day. They actually said
that he was out on. Someone would even consider it saying that.
But they used the other phrase that I hate just as much for. They said that there's no good having Salah out there stat padding. Padding.
Yeah, that's kind of silly.
So what do you mean by stat padding? What would those stats be? Oh, goals and assists. So scoring, look, Mo, you go out there and just pad a few stats, will you?
Yeah.
Well, how do you do that? By scoring goals and assists in the freaking league. Oh, so you just come on. Or you can just choose to go out and pad some stats by scoring goals in the Premier League.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, can we get a few more stat padders in?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? If that's all it takes.
Look at these numbers, Brian. Look at these numbers too. I mean, like the first one shows the goal leaders. So, you know, Salah at 17, Haaland with 19. So two goals behind the current Premier League goal leader of Haaland. Shots on target, 46. Salah once again at 44. Shots on target leaders. The assist leaders, you might say, okay, 10. Obviously, we have 3. His name is not technically on that list, but it is in a sense because he is up there in assists. Big chances created, though. 20 big chances created from Mo Salah. What I've been saying, too, and I'll show this stat. This shows the complete stat of what I'm trying to say. Like, as in that the tall line here on the left-hand side, that's Mo Salah. That's Mo Salah's big chance creation. If we were finishing our dinner, finishing our dinners here, a lot of cases, whether it's Nunez, whether it's Diaz, whether it's Cody, whether it's even Diego, we're really finishing all the opportunities that we've been creating. Those numbers will be even higher, and you can see the big drastic difference in those lines when it comes to his stats to then going on to Fernandez and Odegaard and players like that are even Palmer, who's gotten a lot of different cases of look-ats.
Yeah, look, if he gets blamed, I've heard he's been getting blamed because this is what content creators do, fans do, opposition fans do. They're always just waiting for the worm to turn. They're waiting. The one season wonder people out there, the people that were saying he was a one season wonder, have been waiting for years for him to stop doing anything like what he was doing. And now that it looks a bit scruffy and it's not as devastating as it was, now it's now all the arguments, all the things they've always wanted to say about him, he's wasteful. When was he never wasteful? Liverpool have always been like this, creating 1 billion chances, not scoring all of them. That's just normal. You don't score all your chances. It's not a new thing. It's not a new revelation this season that Salah has been wasteful. Yes, he hasn't been that guy, but look, this is not the best Mo Salah, and he's still doing these kind of figures. He's not just the best at Liverpool. He's leading the Premier League. You know, he's as good as anybody out there. But apparently, it's his fault that other guys aren't scoring goals. Apparently, it's his fault that Darwin isn't scoring. It's his fault that Diaz isn't scoring.
Mm-hmm.
But look at what you just showed there. How many big chances? 44. How
He's
many
got
assists?
20 big chances. 20 big chances.
And 10 in the assists. He tied on 10 assists, 9 assists.
I could bring up the assists too.
What is it that, you know, how are we getting to a point where we're blaming the one guy for everybody else's failings?
No, you're right about that.
I really don't get it. The fact that Darwin can't finish, nothing to do with Mo. The fact that Diaz doesn't finish chance, nothing to do with Mo.
Klopp brought it up, and I get that. And honestly, saying a valid point as well. I get. We can't excuse Salah's overall game play just because he scores. Because if a Lucho did what Salah did, people will call Lucho a stat patter.
Christ, honestly.
But no. Let me make sure I give him context on what he says, because he had a lot of different comments. So let's see. Salah hit a player shine and just stand there. That's frustrating for him to track back. Sabasala, Diaz, Darwin all track back, but no Mo. Nah, I don't accept him. You are good, but not Messi. Salah's good, but also very frustrating. He doesn't care who you ate, or I don't care who you ate. I'll make sure I read this right. Basically, what I was going to bring up is this: like, there was a comment that Klopp said after the draw against Manchester United, because people were very much, vehement about it. Myself included. I was very disappointed in our performance. We're gonna have a fun little actual episode coming up, basically depicting my attitude towards some players' takes as well on the importance of certain in games or the kind of concept they should have for some games. But all the same, Klopp said this comment after the draw. He said the same boys who today missed a few chances are the ones who brought us to 71 points. He's got a point where, like, as in these same guys that apparently just don't have it, just aren't at the levels that we want them to be at, and everything else. Albeit they could do better. Yes, absolutely so. But last time I looked, we are contending for a league. We are in still the champions. Excuse me, the Europa League. Contending for a trophy in that competition. And we're second on goal differential. So, like, I still have hope and belief in this club. And I still like the fact that, again, why I mentioned earlier about Trent being included. I understand what you're saying, Brian, by saying Diego's involvement would be possibly could be an answer to some of our woes of finishing those meals in front of the goal. I still am very, very optimistic about. I'm very optimistic about Trent being included into this lineup once again, because it means to me we're going to see a player that is going to provide us. I think he's possibly, if not the best, he's certainly, Macca's very close, but I think he's one of the best corner takers that we have. It's the reason why he often is the corner taker for us. I like to see us get more production from that. I'm hopefully that, his inclusion back into the lineup and providing that service will create that opportunity. I'm looking at him being that center quarterback for us, being to open up the field, being able to pinpoint passes the way that we like to see, and creating opportunities for these guys that they almost can't miss. So much that they can't and shouldn't miss these opportunities. So I'm looking at, Mo and Mo and your Codys and your Nunez's and even your Luchos, because let's not get it twisted. Lucho has been, as of late, scoring and providing some real contributions as of late. I'm not talking about his entire season. I'm just talking about as of, let's say, the last 4 or 5 games. Lucho has been definitely one of the more consistent names on the scoring list, or at least on the contribution list as well. But there's one. Let me bring up this other statistic. I know there was a question that got asked last time around. I think it was about like what our statistics were for duels won, duels lost against other opponents and such.
Can I go?
Yeah,
can I
go
go
ahead.
back
Do
to
it. Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
just what honestly was saying. We can't excuse Salah overall for gameplay just because he scores. Because if Lucho did what Salah did, people will call Lucho a stat patter.
Mm-hmm.
You can't compare Lucho and Mo Salah. Mo Salah has been here for pretty much everything. He's scored more goals than anybody in that time, bar, I don't know, is there anyone that's scored more goals in the Premier League since Mo Salah joined Liverpool? I'd be surprised. I doubt it. Yeah. He's won everything he can win at Liverpool. You can't say, oh, Mo gets a different treatment to Diaz. Of course he does.
Mm-hmm.
He's looked at differently. Yeah, that's a fact. He does get looked at differently. But it's like, oh, well, if Lucho did what Mo did, if Lucho did what Mo did, top the chart, if that was Lucho's red bar on the left there, people would be calling him a stat patter. No, it's, it's like and again, I'm not having a go at you, honestly, but these are just some of the points I've been hearing from other people. Yes, he's not Lionel Messi. Guess what? Lionel Messi is potentially the best player of all time. You want to go Pele, you want to go Maradona, whoever, right? But you're talking about, in some people, like the greatest player ever played the game. Yeah, he's not Messi. We have who we have. These are not new things with Mo. So why are people turning on Mo all of a sudden for doing what Mo has always done when the people around him aren't as good? Darwin Núñez and Lucho Diaz right now are not as good as Firmino and Mane. Right? He's got a brand new midfield in behind him.
This one. Mm-hmm.
He's got no trend for a long time. And he's still there putting his shift in, doing what he's done, getting us goals, getting us assists. But Messi, look, since when has Mo ever been that guy that tracks back? He works, he presses, but he's never been. Come on, like this is what I'm saying. Let's stop rewriting history and criticizing things that Mo has always been. This is always Mo. So I don't get. I just think people are playing favorites in terms of deciding they want him to leave, which is fine and fair enough. But they're jumping on these crazy arguments to say, oh, look, he doesn't do this, he doesn't do that. He's older. He's not as good as he was when he exploded onto the scene. Of course he isn't like that anymore because we don't play like that anymore because teams don't give us space like that anymore. Yeah. His second season, he was getting doubled up and tripled up on. Guess what? That creates a bit of space.
I'll bring up some of his stats as you're speaking too, by the way.
It's just, no, but it's about time to start appreciating this guy because when he does leave, and he will leave very soon, when he does, then it will be a big, oh, he was a Mo, how amazing he was. If Darwin Núñez is your favorite guy, don't throw Mo under the bus because Darwin isn't doing what you said he'd do at the start of the season. If Diaz, if Savo, if these guys are your favorite players and you've got a massive hard on for them, fine. But don't throw one of our greatest Premier League players of all time, one of our greatest attackers, under the bus because of other people are failing. People have decided it's transparent and it's false. It's rewriting history. It's dangerous to go, he wasn't really that good. He was pulling us down in the final season because that's the way I can see this narrative going. I'm not going to sit here and go along with it.
No. That earlier graphic I showed earlier, one of the reasons why you didn't see Salah on the assist list was simply because there's 3 individuals with 10 assists this year. But as Pascal, Ali, and Kyrian. But he has 9. He's not like he's 1 assist behind. And he's right in the hunt of being the top assist maker this year. This is obviously the goals When you look at goals as well, he's in the top 5 of that, but he is in technically the top 5 top 5, I guess you could say, for assists as well. And it's one of those things. It's one of those things. It's very interesting. I was looking at, what's interesting too yesterday. I just one more serious question for you guys, and this is just me asking a question. Do you think that our priority, one of the priorities we should look at this upcoming season or upcoming off season, is that trying to find a center half, a more reliable center half?
Yeah. I think it's going to be one of the main priorities, because you're going to have a Matip that will go. You will have a Joe Gomez who hasn't played centre half in a while now.
Yep.
And then you have a Virgil who's, as we always say, getting older, 32-ish now. And then, the best centre half in the world if he stays fit forever, but then but then Ibra Konate when you're not.
Yep.
So, like I say, if you're talking about this treat the back system, you need 3 reliable, top quality centre halves, and then you need at least 2 others who can play because of injury, rotation, suspension. So you're not just looking at 1; you're potentially looking at 2, because Kwanzaa still young. It's a breakout season, but a new manager could come in. Yeah, I want this and that. And that is going to be very, very expensive.
What's a funny thing about
top quality
it,
centre halves.
You mentioned Gomez. You mentioned the obvious, the possible exit of Matip, who
almost guaranteed at this stage.
Yeah, pretty much guaranteed. It's a close, very close guarantee. But never say never, as James Bond would say. So Matip, Gomez, all viable players or all contributing players from our past seasons and such. However, one name that you didn't mention is Ibu. Now, why I said the Ibu thing was because, look,
I did. I said he's the best center. He was the guy who was saying.
I missed that. I'm sorry.
The guy when I said the best centre half in the world when he's not injured.
Yeah.
But that's what meant to Ibu. If he can stay fit, nice. But like you were saying, reliability.
Reliability, yes.
Not so much.
Not so much. And it makes you wonder. I mean, look, I've been seeing a lot of people put their names out there for the starting lineup, for instance. And what makes it angry, well, not saying angry, but what makes me disappointed is that we rested Konate before internationals, right? For the international break, we rested him, right? Then he plays for France. He then comes back for a very important matchup, right?
And he no play.
He doesn't play. And what is even more frustrating is that now that we're going to be in this Europa matchup, in a game that is important, don't get me wrong, I'm not looking past this Italian squad, despite them being in 6th place in Italy. A match that we have at Anfield, he's the most likely candidate to start. Now, what's frustrating about that is this isn't the matchup that I really wanted to see him play. Out of all the matchups, this is the matchup. This is the least on the fixture list. This was the least important game in my view of him being available to play. I would have sooner seen Kwanzaa play in this matchup than in the previous matchup. And that's not taking away. That's not looking at it hindsight with the mess up. The error that he had that led to the goal. That's not the case because he played well despite the error. But when you need these players at the most, I'm thinking to myself, if we have to use kid gloves, and wrap this guy in bubble wrap every time that we want to utilize him, that to me is a concern. And it makes this center half role that much more of a, oh yeah, we had a blessing by having Kwanzaa step up and us not having to go out there to get another center back, which is what we were looking to do when we were like pursuing, the likes of Colwell, for instance, or something along those lines. But now I think we might have to re-engage that we might have to re-engage that pursuit possibly. Am I alone? I mean, obviously, I think Brian is with me on that concept, but one of the major reasons why I'm saying that is because of the availability of Konate. And like, unless he can start to become more available, I'm concerned.
Yeah, even before anything with Klopp leaving, any new manager, I wanted 2 new centre halves.
Mm-hmm.
It's future proofing. It's just basic common sense.
Mm-hmm.
Matip leaving, Virgil end of career type age in the next couple of seasons, unless he becomes a Thiago Silva and plays until he's 38. But you have to be looking at and going, again, it's like Mo. If we all know, no one wants to. If you want Mo to leave, you want him to stay. Yada yada yada. But yes, he won't be around forever. And like Philip says, like we're not saying we don't need to replace him. We'd like to have someone in there, but it doesn't mean you have to get rid of him. Yeah, you need someone to come in and replace that guy eventually. I'd rather have him here for a year and a half, like City can do, because they're rich, and buy some kid like Doku and blood him in, or Grealish, blood him in. We can't really do that. But for me, we've needed 2 centre halves. So Gomez probably not a long-term option for a centre half. Matip leaving at the end of the season. Virgil van Dijk getting older, and Konate injured.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, obviously, to me, that's like, we have a big problem there. We do. As far as I'm concerned, we have a massive problem there, because Kwanzaa can't be relied on or asked to become the next Rio Ferdinand and just play at this level for the rest of his career.
Right.
Right. Maybe he will.
But
it's a big ask. So you need 2, and then you need quality, and that you're talking 50, 60 for a quality centre half, one that isn't a Kwanzaa age.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big freaking chunk of money.
Like
that's most of your. That's more like 120, say 50 and 40. That's nearly 100 million quid most of your transfer budget. So even looking at that, but I think it's a massive priority for us is our defence. And then even Robertson is coming towards the end of his time. He's not 22, he's nearly 31.
Yeah.
There's a lot of work to be done in 2 years' time. Just in 2 seasons' time. Robertson, Van Dijk. Yeah, this to me is a glaring hole that hasn't really been talked about because of all the Salah stuff. And it's like one injury to Van Dijk.
It makes a huge difference. Look, you're right. Look, you're talking about on these numbers here, Brian. You look at this. This is like these are some miscellaneous style numbers dealing with our defense, though. Tackles won, that kind of concept. Block shots, block crosses, interceptions, clearances, and the such for these players. And even on goals or something along those lines. Roger Van Dijk's got 2,547 minutes played. Okay. But then you look at Ibu at 1,418. It's kind of interesting that, like, as in, his availability.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at Arsenal, I don't have Arsenal's numbers ready for instance, but I'm sure if you look at Arsenal's numbers and you look at Saliba and Gabriel, they're about on par with how many minutes they both played for their respective club. I'm willing to take that bet.
Oh, they were, and we looked at it before in January. They were. If Virgil is at 2.5 now, I guarantee you, Saliba will be at 2.6, and Gabriel will be at 2.3.
Okay.
That's how high up they are.
Yeah.
Saliba hasn't barely missed a minute. Gabriel missed a few games at the start of the season because he was in and out of the team. And then he got back in, hasn't been out since, other for a couple. But they were playing non-stop.
Right.
That's all I ever want is two centre halves that, when you look back, you realise at the end of the season they both started 33 games.
Right.
You know.
And let me just make sure that in the chat yesterday, one person said Kwanzaa isn't a good defender. Philip, I think that person's obviously first light, seeing the light as a troll must be, a new thing for that person.
Yeah.
That's a silly comment, man. That's an absolutely silly comment. But go on. I'm sorry. I just want to make sure I
No, you got to go with it, man. This is a guy who, for basically 5 minutes, looked out of place because you didn't know him.
Right.
He's slotted in seamlessly, and you don't want to talk about him. I'm glad people aren't talking about him.
What is that? Is this true too? By the way, is this true? Is that I'm not going to read this out completely, but
okay, you
chat from the presser today saying that we should sell Kwanzaa.
Well, you make a mistake in one game. That's your career.
Make one mistake in one game and you're out.
That's just these people, they have high standards. It's not that they're assholes; they just have high standards, man.
That's just absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah. No, they're connoisseurs. They're not assholes; they're connoisseurs.
Yeah.
They know a player when they see one. And one mistake against United, no, not good enough for Liverpool, not good enough for me. We know these people. We know who they are.
This is, just still again. Bringing up the numbers that we were talking about earlier again, but the 2,500 plus minutes, Ibu's at under 1,500 minutes. He's played less games than Trent Alexander-Arnold.
Yep.
That's a concern. To me.
He seemed like I said. I've been like a broken record on this. Is that I love Ibu, but
I love Ibu.
I have no time for a centre half that plays one, plays another, and out for one. Plays one, plays another one, out for two. Plays three, out for one. Plays four, out for two. It's just, you're out for 6 months because someone broke your leg. You're out for 6 months, right? You're out for 6 months because you do your ankle. You're out for 6 months. Cool. But just this constantly in, out, hokey cokey football, It doesn't help anyone. You don't settle down.
It doesn't help, It doesn't help the continuity.
Not his fault.
That's the reason why, if anything, Virgil's performance this year, in my own humble opinion, is even more so exceptional considering the rotating, door it's been on his partner.
He's been coaching Kwanzaa through games.
Yeah.
Literally. He's just there going, right, okay. I've got to watch this. I mean, I'm doing my own thing, but this I've got to keep an eye. He's good. I know he's good, but he's coaching him. It's not like, he's not coaching him, not like he has to teach him how to play, but he's going to naturally, as a captain, it's a young kid. He's going to have one eye out for him. He's going to be making sure he's where he needs to be all the time until eventually, he's good. I don't need to tell him. He's good, So he's going to be taking on that role. So he's doing two jobs, doing his own job and doing that captain role of making sure his young centre half is doing what he needs to do, which is taking on that's the captain responsibility right there. But,
right.
nobody, Virgil would want to be out there doing his own thing and knowing he's got a rock solid partner behind him. Doesn't even have to look. He knows where he's going to be, hopefully. You know, not always that easy. But if we hadn't had Kwanzaa to step in, like I said, Joe Gomez helped us out so much being able to fill in when our fullbacks were out. When we had both left backs out and Trent out. We've not gotten lucky, but someone like Kwanzaa being able to come in and perform at that level. If we hadn't had him, I think we may be looking at like this many people selling him, talking about him not being good. If we hadn't had Kwanzaa, I think we might be in a much worse position.
Right.
Without over-egging that particular pudding, it gave us a good centre-half pairing because we were at the bare bones. Like, we were really bare bones.
Yeah. Yeah.
When he came in. So, yeah, the idea of these people are clearly just trolls. But what Honesty was asking there was another question that we won't negotiate with players. What was that there? Liverpool won't negotiate with anyone until the new manager comes in. What does this mean? To me, I just read that as we won't be making any decisions on contracts, things like that, until the new manager comes in. Not really sure I'd buy that 100%. I think if Trent is getting a new contract, it doesn't matter what the new manager thinks. Right. You know, it might come down to maybe like I think this might be, say, a Hail Mary for a Thiago or a Matip or something going, well, we'll wait and see if the new manager says I'd like to keep Thiago. Look, we all know that's not happening. We know those boys are good. But it's new contracts, big new contracts for players that are at the club. That's a Hughes and Edwards kind of thing. That's not really the new manager. Like, it might be, let's hold back and get his opinion and stuff, but he won't be making the final decision.
Right.
But I don't like who up apart from Trent. I don't think there's anyone. Well, we've spoken about Sal, but apart from Trent, I don't think there's anyone in the squad that's we need to get a new contract for this guy sorted tomorrow. I really don't think there is. So, like, we take it as read that Thiago's leaving, Matip is leaving. I mean, Salah is the Salah thing. But the only real what are we going to do is Trent. And I don't think Amorim can come in and go, I don't know. I don't think he's going to come and say, I don't want to give Trent a new deal. And so everyone go, oh, okay, no new deal for Trent. So
I think if anything, a lot of a possible, and this is just me, this is my humble opinion, but I just think that what you're going to see with a lot of these players, or a lot of these coaches, is that there are some players that Edwards might say, hey, you know what? This is a player that we want to build around. This is a corner piece of our club. You know, I get that you might have different ideas of what you want to do with this team, but I believe that Trent is one of those corner pieces of the club that are important enough that you figure out how to make it work.
Yeah, the best modern clubs don't allow managers to dictate transfer policy anymore. As much as some people don't want to hear that, they just don't. Because I gave the Antonio Conte example earlier on, and as an extreme example, you have a Conte who comes in and goes, I want to play 3-4-3. I need you to buy me 2 wing backs, someone who can play this position in my 3-4-3 and that. And he's there for 18 months, then he gets sacked. And you bought him like 200 million quid worth of players. The next guy comes in and go, well, I don't play 3-4-3. You know, I play 4-3-3. I do this. I don't need that guy. I don't need that guy. That doesn't work anymore. Clubs need to know that the managers coming in know that the profile of player they buy, they can tweak it to get the one they want. But even so, if that manager leaves, they're not left with a bunch of players that the next manager doesn't want. That's what clubs are avoiding now. And I think managers now are a lot more receptive. There are very, very few coaches out there that will walk in and slam the fist on the table.
2,790 minutes, by the way.
For who?
No,
Saliba?
I'm sorry. Yes, 2,790 minutes is what he's played.
I think I said
2,445 minutes is what Gabriel has played this season.
I was
You look
with
at
that
these
one.
numbers, it is absolutely amazing. Saliba, 2,790 minutes. Rice, 2,601 minutes. Odegaard, 2,486 minutes. Gabriel, 2,445 minutes. Saka, 2,416 minutes.
Yeah.
Ben White, 2,409 minutes.
But they were doing it from the start of the season. We looked at this,
Yeah.
I think, on the Sideline show after about maybe 4 months, 5 months. And we were saying Arsenal are flogging their players because they all had maximum, you looked at City and they were on like half the numbers because they were rotating.
Yeah.
But you could see that Arsenal basically had 5 players that were playing 90 minutes in every game.
Every game.
Like they're flogging
pretty much
these guys.
every game. Pretty much every game. I mean, it's pretty incredible, one, that Ramsdale has become like an afterthought, pretty much, considering he's only featured in 6 matches this year. Started in 6 matches, has 540 minutes. But you're right. I mean, like, we're talking about Zinchenko. Zinchenko has more minutes than Ibu this year. He has 1,590 minutes.
And he's been injured a lot as well.
He's been injured quite a bit. Yep. That's one of those things that makes you go, okay, we need to figure out something more concrete with Ibu or with our center half positioning. We need to figure out something a little bit more concrete. That's all I'm trying to get across. I'm not saying I want to sell Ibu. I'm not saying that Ibu isn't a good player. If anything, I agree with where was the statement? And it was a really good statement here. High Lord put it in here. Yes. He says Van Dijk is the best central defender in the Premier League, but the pairing of Saliba and Gabriel is the best in the Premier League. But if Konate wasn't as injury prone, things would be different. I think that Van Dijk and Konate are the best center back pair in the world. But that's when Ibu's available.
They were statistically in the Premier League about 5 months ago. I saw a stat that when you take into account when they play together, yada yada yada, statistically they were the best centre half pair in the Premier League. Better than Saliba and Gabriel when they, but again, if he's not playing, he ain't playing.
If he's not playing, he's not playing. It's right. No, it's right. And again, I mean, like 2,790 minutes. That's a lot of minutes, man. I'm sorry. That's a lot of minutes.
But just like I was saying,
we have 4 players that have broken into 4 players. I'm sorry, real quick. 4 players, albeit Dominic. Put it this way, Dom, who has been injured for some time now, has been on and off injured. Dom is the closest to getting into that 2,000 bracket right now at 1,968. Ali at 1,890 minutes. Okay, that's the closest to 2,000 that we have, other than Salah, McAllister, Lucho, and Van Dijk. All 4 of those players are in that high level of minutes being offered.
Yeah, big up Nilante.
Big up Nilante. Big up.
Yeah, it's.
You want to deal with that? You want to shoot that question?
No, but just as I just finished off what I was saying earlier on, the days of a manager coming into a football club and banging his fist on the table and demanding that they buy him this player and that player, they're gone. They're just gone. They went with Mourinho and Abramovich. Like, now you have to buy into the players we've been buying, the scouting we do, the guys we have lined up. It's more along the lines of that now, where we do this at the club, and it's like, you can obviously have your own choices, but they have to fit with the system. Like Klopp always said, FSG went out of the system to allow him to sign Endo because they don't sign plus 30 players. So there'll be that little bit, but you'll have a manager to come in now, and if he thinks he can dictate transfer policy, no chance. That's why we all know who these Richard Hughes and Michael Edwards people are now, because they literally are the guys deciding who we buy. As much as some people hate that idea, they despise the idea that it isn't the manager. Now, it's not like he's being handed players and going, you must play this guy. It's not that. It's more. There's more symbiosis involved in terms of working together. But it isn't the old way of, this is the guy I want, go out and get him for me. You get a tiny little bit of that. But now, if you don't want the players we're buying and bringing in, it's basically, here's a list of, say, the guy comes in, I go, I need a left winger. The club will go, right, we've been working on 3. Here's the 3 we've been working on. If he goes out, well, no, I want this guy. Well, they might go and look at that guy and go, well, obviously, because these guys are, you name a player, they know, they can tell you what he had for breakfast 10 years ago. The date and the info they have on these guys. So it's working a lot differently these days. So, and I think all these young managers, what I'm saying, all these young managers, they know that and they appreciate that. They don't expect to be able to go in and go, I want this and I want that. I think that's what happened with Klopp. He bought into it earlier on. And the longer he's here, the more successful here he was. He wanted more control. But I think you give a Klopp more control because he's done what he does. But it's a very different game now where you've got to be all these young managers, man. Some of them are younger than me. These guys that are managing top clubs, they're data driven as well. They know that you got to trust these guys. So I don't think there'll be a problem with players getting new contracts if the club think they need a new contract.
Yeah, no doubt. I was trying to put in an answer for him as well, in whether the question was, do you rate Kwanzaa as a better center back than Joey? And
At the moment,
I'm not necessarily sidestep that answer or that question. More so, I'm saying I think of it as, if it comes to passing, I think Gomez has a better passing ability. I think Gomez is a better passer than Kwanzaa at the current moment.
He's probably a lot more versatile than Kwanzaa, but
yeah.
I don't mind Kwanzaa just being an out and out. Right now, though, if you had to say to me, you need someone to play centre half tomorrow, probably be going with Kwanzaa.
I would go with Kwanzaa too. That's what I was going to say. When it comes down to, there are parts of it that I do like. I like his progressive carries. I definitely would go as far as to say, when it comes to Kwanzaa, I like the fact that he's a little bit more physical presence than Joey is. And I would, for those reasons, I would say I would go Kwanzaa over Gomez as that center back pairing for him. Despite, obviously Gomez having ample, knowledge and football IQ. But yeah, I would go Kwanzaa over Gomez for right center back. I definitely would. Nigel, we are going to be doing a watch along tomorrow. Yes, we're going to be doing a lead in and a watch along tomorrow. I'm going to keep it local and definitely do a Europa partay. Hopefully a victory for us at Anfield. So yes, if you
can we talk on the protests?
Oh, go ahead.
In case anybody doesn't know about the protests tomorrow at Anfield, did you hear about this?
I did.
Yeah.
Or I heard some. I heard. Not. I haven't read any articles yet, but I have seen people on Twitter talking about it.
Yeah. So basically, tomorrow, if you're watching the game when it starts, when we do all the pageantry at the start and the songs and the flag wave and all that stuff on the Kop, there ain't going to be any flags on the Kop.
Yeah.
There's going to be a protest in the right way, not like basically acting the dickhead or anything, but because of the increase in the season ticket prices, which is minimal in terms of what it will gain the club, but is actually it's a big deal for those that have to pay it. So the spy on cop, the people who basically are responsible for all of those things you see, they don't happen by accident. They're coordinated. Blessings Pop. They have decided to remove the flags and all of the usual stuff that you would see, and there'll be none of the classic stuff that you would normally see going on, and that is basically their way of saying to the owners that it's not good enough.
Yeah,
you know, because if you were to increase those by 2%, that's going to make the club very little, really, in the grander scheme of things. It's not a lot of money.
It's not.
So,
it's a 2%. It's a 2% increase.
Yeah, it's just something that people go, this is not necessary. So all of those things that we see at a European night, the big huge flags waving, all the banners with all the European cups on it, that's not going to be happening tomorrow night. Which is really, really sad to see because and I know this is why they're doing it, because Spy and Cop knows, and Spirit of Shankly SOS, they know what this club is about, and they know what this club is built on. And this club is built on European football. It's made by, being powerful in England, but this club is built purely on being one of the biggest clubs in Europe. That's it. That is why we're famous. We're not famous because we win it.
1 million, maybe.
£1 million quid.
Saying.
Yeah. So that too.
2% is nothing.
Yeah. To see it in encroaching on a European game like that, where we should be celebrating these things. It's a European night at Anfield. It's under the lights at Anfield. These are the things that we grew up on. These are the myths and the legends that we grew up on. This is what formed our club. And
it does put him in
support,
a difficult position. It does put Klopp in a difficult position. So, like, obviously, he understand. He's he knew that he was going to have to he had to address it in the presser, and he basically said Klopp was asked about it, as Lee said. So as long as we make the noise and get behind the team, he supports the fans fully.
Yeah, he backs it. He backs it because he knows it's a shit move, and he can do what he wants now because he's leaving in a few minutes. And he won't be here. So he can come out and say what he wants.
Yeah, he could be a little bit more open about, like, going up against the brass. Yeah. Yeah,
but we all know this is not what we want to see. We want the world to see us with all our flags and with all our pageantry, with what makes Anfield special. But when they see it tomorrow night, most people around the world will just go, what's going on there?
Yeah.
Unless it's explained to them, they won't realize. But it's this insidious little chip, let's take more, let's take more, let's take more. Like we were speaking on Frank's the other night, or I wasn't on, I was in the chat and the lads were talking, and Frank was saying his daughter rang and said, I want to go and see the match, but can't get a ticket. So he said, right, let's go. I'll get 3 tickets. Bring the granddaughter.
It was something.
It was over 3,200. 3,002, because all I could get was corporate. So three tickets in the better stand, £3,000 sterling for 3 local people to go and watch Liverpool. There's something seriously wrong there. Seriously wrong.
Yeah. Did you see the Ashley Williams interview, by the way, too? Did anyone see the Ashley Williams interview?
Ashley Williams, that's the name I haven't heard one about. It was at Swansea.
Yeah, he was talking about. Let me see if I can. I don't know if I can. I can tell you what he said. He says. So here. So yeah, it's kind of like it was kind of interesting. He brought that up. Why he brought that up, I have no idea.
Nothing came up. Nothing
Oh,
happened.
you couldn't hear it. You couldn't hear
No,
it.
nothing happened. No.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I thought it was playing loud enough for you guys. Basically, let's see, I just watching me listen to the interview. Okay,
I was
so
wondering
basically,
what's happening. Yeah.
yeah. I'll try to like vocalize what he says. So he says so him growing up he grew up as a Liverpool fan, okay, and this was the year that we were going for the title, and Coutinho basically they won in the game 4-2, but he had a collision with Coutinho and he actually dislocated his shoulder and was out for the season from that dislocation. And we didn't win the league, blah blah blah. And he's talking about how like apparently his fan mail blew up with all these Liverpool fans that were very vocal about the anger about him injuring their player and everything else. One, he didn't miss the whole season, so that was one thing. So that's why it's kind of like it was. Two, he was wrong about the date. It was September. And three, he said that they won 4-2. The game was 2-2. It was a 2-2 draw. So it's one of those things where sometimes you gotta like take what you hear sometimes with a grain of salt, even if it's coming from the horse's mouth. So to put it,
Yeah, nice one, Ashley. Yeah, he said headed a few too many balls in his time, maybe.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think if Swansea beat if Swansea beat us 4-2, I think everybody would remember it.
Yeah, exactly. I was like 4-2. How did that happen? Yeah. Very, very interesting. Yeah, he got it all mixed up. That was a story out there on Twitter. Sorry you guys couldn't hear it. I'll have to see if I can like bring it up. It's a very interesting conversation to say the least. But yeah. I don't know. I think it was an interesting conversation. But yeah. Is there anything you want to bring up the Irishman before we bounce out here? Because I know that we've held on to you guys for about 2 hours and 2 hours and change here. So I know everyone's got possibly other destinations, that they might be wanting to go to. But yeah, and it might be watching some of these other games, or we might be, getting ready. But we will be having. Let me emphasize this: we will be having a watch along tomorrow. So please do put your notifications on all, because we will need you in that chat to make it a party. Hopefully Reds can make it better.
Yeah, just make sure you like. If you haven't liked the video, just Atalanta wants us to keep going. Oh,
I know, I see that.
You came in late. No, just if you are still here, then and you haven't, then make sure you do like the video, because YouTube will be kind of harsh on live streams. So if we're doing a live stream tomorrow, the more people that like it now, it will get pushed up higher tomorrow. So if you are and you haven't liked it, and you do want to leave a comment afterwards, those things really help. But if not, just like the video and all those. But more often than not, just have a brilliant night, everybody, and take care. Whatever you're doing, have a great night. Yeah.
Real quick, Hyler brought up this interesting, or not, it's a fact. It's a statistic, I guess you could say that. But for 8 straight seasons ending in 2023, ticket prices were frozen at Anfield, while the club's costs increased by 40%. The price will increase. The prize will increase with less than $1 for season. The price will increase with less than £1 for season ticket holders. So it's basically an extra $1. Or extra pound.
No, Philip, that's not Philip. I always forget to like videos. I'm the worst in the world. I'm watching these videos and people go, like the video, and I'm like, of course I've liked them. Why do people always tell you to like the video? And then I look and I realize I haven't liked it. I always forget to like even my own stuff that I'm on. I probably haven't even liked this video. Probably a very good chance I haven't liked this video, so go out and do it. But it's a 2% increase on the price of a season ticket. So if your season ticket costs you 1,800 quid, it's more than £1. You know, if it was only £1 on top, if it was only £1 per season ticket, then the Spy and Cop is not mandating and removing all flags from the Cop.
It's $1. He's saying it's £1 increase for each ticket. That's what he's saying.
The £1 increase for season ticket.
£1 increase for season ticket holder, I should point out, is for each match.
No, the price of a season ticket
is going up, but he's saying for
by
each
2%.
For each,
yeah, but you don't have to pay an extra £1 per game. If you have a season ticket, you don't have to pay for each match. If that's for the additional matches that aren't covered by your season ticket. He's breaking
it down to say it relates to, it comes out to be, it would be the 2% increase makes it an extra £1.
It doesn't though. But it doesn't. No, but it doesn't. Okay, no, I think no. But if you add to, if say your season ticket costs you £1,800, what's 2% of 1,800? It's going to go up, but it's just basically what it's. That's the whole point about it.
I don't know how much season tickets are.
No, but it'll be different levels. But that's the whole point about it, is that it's a tiny increase. It makes the club basically nothing. Like it's basically nothing, and it's adding on more money. Like I say, if you want to read into this properly, the Spy on Cop have removed flags from the Cop for a reason, not because they're pissed off about £1. So bear that in mind, that they didn't do this for no reason. Like, this is not a kind of pissy little hissy fit that people are throwing. You know, stuff is going up and up and up.
So it says in the 2022-2023 season, Liverpool FC's most expensive season tickets cost £869, a price which has remained unchanged since the 2014-2015 season. Meanwhile, the club's cheapest season ticket cost £685, British pounds.
Oh, so, JK. Hey, JK. Hope you're well, man.
Yes, definitely, JK. Hope that you're well, brother. Hope that you're well. Looking forward to seeing you back sometime soon, for sure.
Yeah, it's price gouging. It's basically that stuff could be chalked down to 10 years.
Yeah.
I mean, 800 quid, like, okay, yeah, it's not 1,800, okay. But again, also, try getting a season ticket.
That's a different,
Try getting one.
That's a different story.
There's people out there that won't get one until their dad passes away.
Right.
Or their uncle passes. You know, that's someone that they can. I would try getting on that list.
Yeah, so I get what he's saying. So if it costs 869 British pounds, right? And then you times that by 2%, right?
Divided by 2%.
Divided, right? But I mean, if you're dividing, you're multiplying. It's a version. It's two fractions that you're multiplying. That's what I'm trying to say. But anyway, it ends up being 17.38. Yeah, 17 a season. What I'm saying, yeah, exactly. So 17.38. So it ends up being a little bit under £1 for every game.
Yeah, okay, that's fair enough. Yeah, okay, that is fair enough. But it's what JK said. At the end of the day, they're increasing it to make.
It's still an increase. That's the bold
to make
headline.
A few pennies.
That's the headline that gets the bold print. Yeah,
but it's to make a few pennies. It's to make a few pennies. Basically, it's like this is like it's not about. It's an enough is enough kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's why it's. it's these guys are kind of standing up like that. Not many clubs have a spy on cop, the Spirit of Shankly. They all have their supporters groups, but Liverpool fans know that even today, you can get stuff done, not like you used to be able to. You know, they've taken away the power that these guys have, but they try to get them on the board. Let's get Spirit of Shankly. Let's give them a nominal seat on the board so we can tell them to shut up. You know, let's Spirit of Shankly. Everyone thought it was like, well, Spirit of Shankly, they've got a place on the board now. Now they'll have a real say at the club. Nah, completely wrong. They're under the thumb now. They're in the building. I want them outside the building protesting. I don't want them inside answering to the guy that, now, you know, Mr. Spirit of Shankly representative, I'm the guy that got you in here, so don't piss the club off too much. No. You're working with the boys now. You can't change it on the board level. You need to change it outside. I want people protesting outside. You know, as soon as they become part of the system, they're in the system. And FSG will try and say, well, look, what if we give you a bit of this? Will you tell the guys to stop protesting then? You know, it's just like, what can we give you to shut these fans up? That's the way I see it. So,
I got you.
Look, it's all about just saying enough is enough, because these things will go up, and it's not about inflation. They've gone up way past inflation long ago.
Yeah. No, I mean, like, yeah, JK just said he was paying around £45 a ticket around the time Klopp came in, which is what we were saying, JK, too, is that tickets have been frozen since 2014-2015 season at £869 being the best ticket, or one of the better tickets that you can get. And that would be around 45 pounds, British pounds, basically 45.74, something like that. So around 45 pounds would be the price. But hey, if you're so lucky to get season tickets, more power to you. You're definitely one of the blessed out there. There's plenty of people waiting in line trying to get that, or to be part of that lucky few, even with the additional season seats that they've added. But look, tomorrow we have a seat for you with us to watch this game. If you're not one of the few that can go to Anfield and watch the game live, please do join us tomorrow. You know, hey, our seats are free, and they all are set with love. So you know what I mean. So therefore, like, I hope that you'll be joining us tomorrow to watch along. We're gonna be yes, definitely landed safely, definitely, as always. Yes, definitely so. I'm not gonna go into. I heard the hot dogs aren't that good, by the way. That's unfortunate to hear. I'm not really a hot dog guy, but like, I did hear the hot dogs aren't. Yeah, so. All the same. Be with us tomorrow. The game. What time's the game start tomorrow, Brian? Do you know? Remember?
My time, 8.
8. Okay, just making sure. Yeah, 8:00 your time. Okay, yeah. So it's a 12:00 kickoff for me. Yeah. So we'll be in the party room, I guess, around at it's 10:30. So tomorrow. So yeah. So that would be 6:30, an hour and a half before kickoff. We'll be rocking and rolling. So hope to see you guys there. Look, tomorrow, today, does not matter what date is on your calendar. Please make sure that one of the top priorities on that day is to take care of yourself, continue to take care of your own health and such, but also to take care of those that are your loved ones in your lives. Look, each and every one of you guys out there, you're a red, and that means that you are one that I carry in my heart. So I wish you all a great day, a great morning, a great evening, whichever the case is for you. I hope that it is a fantastic occurrence for you guys. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Let's hopefully get a assured win tomorrow, get one of those wins that we can kind of rest some players for the return fixture in Italy, and focus more steadily and solidly on this Prem and get this game going, guys. Get this title race going. But until tomorrow, I wish you guys all peace and love. I will see you guys then. Take care, guys.